you know, when you have everything at your fingertips in terms of color, especially, how do you not get overwhelmed, option paralysis in that sort of situation? Anyone want to take that?
At the end of the day, you're telling a story, and you need to understand, you know, your warms and your cools and what that means subconsciously too. So if you understand psychology and you understand colors and you understand sound, that basic level is going to help you artistically create moods that you want to create.
Anyone else want to jump in on that?
Yes, I think that there are interesting things that you can talk about these creative concepts. For example, now that we are having RGB lights all around, one of the things that are important, for example, is that you take into account how the complementary colors work together in a scene, for example, how to create a palette of colors that will go helping your talent or your whole attire or the stage, how the colors can affect the mood and the psychology of the situation, how the position of the lights affect the mood also. So yes, of course, lighting has a lot of issues that can be taken into account psychologically, emotionally, from the technical point of view. And the more you go into that, the more you love the light. No, that's why we call ourselves the light warriors, because of you have to fight with the light.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian, I think you had some input on that.
Yeah, I think you know what everyone else said is true, of knowing the meaning behind what you're lighting. You know, a comedy is going to look different than a drama. A horror is going to look different than, you know, yada yada. And going with your gut, you know, like feeling the light out is really important to me. Kind of just walking into a scene and thinking about it, imagining, you know, putting yourself there, being a character in the scene is really important. And I'd say also, you know, staying with the times, because, you know, movies in the 40s and 50s lit a certain way. And if you light that like now, it's going to look really weird. Even if you can make something look like the 90s with lighting, or you can make something look like just strange a little bit. So like understanding where everyone in the world is at on like their style of like a really low you know, negative fill in the front now, or like a really hard edge is what everyone's kind of, you know, getting on together as like a community with the style, with the changes of our style as people watching.
Different types of production have kind of their go-to looks, and then, you know, for a while we had shaky cam, you know, and then that went into more of a Dana Dolly type thing, and then that got rid of a lot of use of dollies. And so it's like the tech and the creative have always kind of gone hand in hand. Then with sky panels, you know, color came back, so to speak, and so people started finding ways of using color in production, even though that wasn't really so much of a thing. You know, gels and all that was always there, but it came back with, and then with the stereotubes. So a lot has, there's been this kind of push and pull between technology moving ahead and creativity either leading or using what's available to change. So I think just like with the DSLR revolution, now we're having that with the LED revolution in a sense, and it's making us all have all these much more, you know, capable creative tools, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think of it's similar maybe in a way to where you have a word processor, you're making a flyer, you're going to Photoshop or Illustrator, whatever it is, and like you have 100 fonts there, and you have like a whole bunch of different ways to outline them and drop shadow and all these things. It's like you can easily overdo that. Just because you have 100 fonts doesn't mean you should use 5 fonts on a flyer. And that's sort of the trick sometimes with color and or say backlight and how much negative fill versus any of these things. It's like there's always a balancing act there. And when we get new tools, we tend to maybe want to use all those tools because it's fun to do that. And that's, I think the art is like finding what not to do. I think that's very important.
Contrast is a lot of what drives moods. And I mean, color does, quality of light, but contrast is really powerful. And I used to have this heated discussion about how shadows, for example, are not an absence of information. They're a color. Black is a color that you paint with. And you can do incredible things by painting with black. Lighting the background, putting someone in front of it and not lighting that, or using contrast and shaping things on a set. And there's this idea that
the Rolling Stones made a whole career out of painting it black. So yeah, absolutely.
If it worked for them, it'll work for the rest of us.
Anyway, continue.
And
sorry.
Talking about painting with light. Some people ask about the manuals. Well, there are fantastic books like John Alton, Painting with Light, and of course all the magazines from American Cinematographer. I would recommend. Now they have everything online, and there is a trove of information in American Cinematographer that has been the work for 100 years, and I would invite everyone to go there. The Digital Cinema Society, for example, is another fantastic organization that helps and has been doing a lot of shootouts and expositions and everything. I would recommend everyone here for our audience to do that. No, go to these fantastic books that have been done by the masters. The American Cinematographer is a trove of information.
You might be looking at Shoots.video and thinking, so how does this all work? Is this about A, setting up the whole crew for me, B, just giving me options and having me handle it, or C, something in between? Well, it's D, all of the above. To put it simply, we're here to help you in any way that we can to get the crew and talent you need for your next production. We believe that every level of video production can benefit from a well-maintained list of qualified crew members for every position. This goes for pre-pro, on-set, and for post. Every project is different, so if you need a producer to help manage the decision-making process, then we can totally do that. If you're already a producer and want to build your own crew from scratch, then go for it. We're here to make your next production a success. And if you are crew or talent looking for producers that want you, then you've come to the right place. Sign up now, and also leave a referral for any solid people that you know that are already on here. Thank you for considering Shoots.video, and happy shooting.